Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining this Monday. So, Jim, today we're going to look at the top 10 secrets, your top 10 secrets to living the rich life. Now,
Yeah.
when we say about a rich life, I mean, do you mean like lots of money rich life, or do you mean like the things in life maybe that make your life richer in terms of maybe family and things that you value a lot more than maybe money,
Mm.
or what's your take on that?
It's a good question. This is purely about money.
Right.
Because I tell you what, you'll not be able to do much in life without money. Because money drives everything. And anybody that says anything different, it's like, try going to the cinema and saying, I don't have any money. Try
Yeah.
going to a restaurant and saying, I don't have any money. Try going to anywhere, and if you want a car, if you want a house, if you want anything, and say, well, I don't have money, I'm just expecting you to give me it for nothing. It's like,
That's not going to
it's not
happen.
going to happen.
Yeah.
It's just the way the system works. Don't shoot the messenger. It's the way the system works. That's really what it comes down to. Because a lot of people actually come on and castigate and go, it's not all about money. You're damn right it is.
Yeah.
It is
Money's the driver,
brass
as you've
tacks
said
money.
before.
The most stressful situation in a couple's relationship is typically all about money.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to. What are you spending on? What are you spending on? It's no fair. How am I not getting this? And how am I not able to spend this? And how are you stopping me for spending this? And how are you able to spend that? And what about your secret spending, your secret hoarding, and all these different things that go on? And it all involves money. And
Hmm.
it's all money. It's stopping people and habits. Mark says it right there. It's all habits. It's mindset towards money. And it's all these habits that you've created. It actually are holding you back from living that rich lifestyle overall. Definitely, I would say this is all about living your rich lifestyle. And you can do that no matter what income you're on right now. You can choose to do that. Now, I'm not talking about going out and saying, let's go and buy a Mercedes, or let's go and buy a Ferrari, or let's go and buy a boat, and I'm on, 200 quid a week. That's not going to happen. That's not realistic. But you could still live quite a decent rich life in terms of your income, in terms of what you're bringing in, based on the income that you've got coming in right now. And I think this is the 10 secrets I'm talking about here. And I will elaborate on them quite a bit.
Yeah.
As you'll say to yourself, oh, I know all these things already. Newsflash, are you doing this? Are you doing it? Are you doing it? No is the answer to that. You're not doing it. That's what that answer
Yeah.
is. Because if you were doing it, you'd be living your rich life already. And if you're not living your rich life, then you're pretty better much tune in and listen to what
Yeah.
I've got to say. Listen, it makes no difference to my lifestyle and the way I'm going to. I actually said this morning, I was looking at my app and I was like, holy shit, it's 38 degrees in Spain. And Ian turned around to me and says, you're going to jump on a plane right now, aren't you? And I went, I've got the Wealth Creation Show.
I
But
didn't
I
leave you
tell you
alone.
what, if I had no commitments this week, I would
Yeah.
have been on a plane today across to Spain in 38 degrees sunshine on
Yeah.
the beach. Genuinely, that is talking about getting to the absolute pinnacle of living your rich life. If you can do that and you can afford to do that.
Yeah.
But I'm not talking about that in general. I'm talking about just run of the mill, what I started out in the beginning, how I was able to live a decent life, a comfortable life. But I did make a lot of sacrifices on the way. There's
Mhm.
no doubt about that. I mean, I will say it, and it's not me that says this. Most people say, Jim, but you're the exception to the rule. It's like you just went completely anal about this whole thing. And you
Mhm.
just got down to the point where you got down to brass tacks, where you wouldn't spend anything unless there was something in it compounded for your future. You wouldn't
Yeah.
invest anything unless you did that. You wouldn't buy anything. You wouldn't upgrade anything unless there was some benefit in it in the medium to long term in order to set you free. Because my ultimate vision was be able to set myself free. It was becoming effectively a time lord.
Yeah.
It was,
Yeah. I was going
and
to say,
we
yeah.
joke about this tag, Time Lord. I wanted to buy back my time so much desperately. I wanted to have my own time to myself. I wanted to choose what I did with my time. And that was the most important thing to me. But I knew the only thing it would restrict my time is actually all to do with money.
Mhm.
Because
Yeah.
my time was always traded for money. And if you break out of that cycle where your time is no longer dependent on your income, you'll set yourself free. but this is about just basic brass tacks. This is
Yeah.
about, just normal run of the day. If you're in a job, if you're working 9 to 5, so, like yourself, Richard, you
Yeah.
can live a rich lifestyle as well, within what you've got. But most people don't realize it. Every single person at this point in time will sit and say to themselves, I have got no money at the end of the month. How am I else? How is this idiot going to tell me how to live my rich life? Because I'd be saying that.
Yeah. I think it's important to realise that everybody's at different stages and different levels and things. And like you said, Jim, if living a rich life is to you spending time with your family and doing things, that might be, like you say, going to the cinema, going to do things. And money's still the driver there. You still need money to do these things. So no matter what, whether it's like yourself, if you want to jump on a plane to Spain and that's the thing that makes you feel like that, or if it's just somebody that works 9 to 5 and wants to take their kids to the pictures at the weekend, or the cinema, I should say. Money's the driver there at different levels, but it's still the driver. So let's dive into what we're going to talk about today, Jim, and the 10 secrets. So we'll start off firstly, I think it's really important, a really important one, and it's to be thankful. And I think a lot of people maybe aren't as thankful, and they probably struggle with that the most, to be thankful with their position that they're in just now, no matter what level you're at. How important is that, Jim?
I think it's been appreciative and thankful about where you are right now and where you were before. It's amazing the amount of times, and I've picked you up on this before as well, Richard. Wait a minute, what was it like 5 years ago for you?
Yeah, I know.
And you're like, it's completely different today now than it was 5 years ago. And that's the appreciation you've got to have for where you are right now. Because I tell you what, you weren't there before 5 years ago. You were probably a lot less well off in terms of where you were. And most people are, because we improve over time, but we forget to acknowledge that and be thankful for where we are. And also the hard work and effort other people put in round about at work with you.
Yeah.
That's key as well. So the other thing as well is be appreciative. Appreciative means, and being thankful is, it's hard, right? As you earn, here's a classic, as you earn more, this is what happens normally for everybody.
Okay.
As you earn more money, you immediately think you can buy more. And you're subject to, it's like almost like a heroin addiction. It's like people get into that sort of, into that mentality. They get addicted to continually spending. They can't actually see. My dad used to say, money burns a hole in your pocket, son. Honestly, every single time I had money, I just wanted to spend it because I felt the rush. I felt the dopamine that you get out of that.
So can I just to that? So people might find that's interesting, Jim. For a lot of if they follow the show and a lot of what we talk about, for you to say, obviously your dad used to refer to like, oh, money burns a hole in your pocket, and you used to have this urge to spend all the time. So how did you change that? How did you get? I mean, I know that's probably a whole show in itself, but I mean,
how did I change that? I changed that with the mentors that I had. So, it's the 35 years ago when I bumped into all these mentors in network marketing, Jerry Mandescriven, Pat and Greta Gregory, Bill and Les O'Brien, all these different people from different walks of life who had been far more successful than me, then taught me about things like, it is the farmer mentality. It's the compounding wealth. It's the delayed gratification. It's everything you hear right now on your TikTok videos, on everything else that's going on in the media, because it's now that information more readily available. There was no mediums like that at the time for me. 35 years ago, Facebook, internet, mobile phones never existed.
Yeah.
There was nothing like that. So the acquisition of knowledge and expertise was only by chance or by the fact at the point of readiness. In other words, you were prepared to receive that message from someone else without actually judging it or without actually writing it off. I used to look at books on the shelf when I was younger, and it used to say, how to become a millionaire. And my cynical thought was, yeah, write a book and sell it to everybody and you'll be a millionaire. That's how I used to think. And then that was the end of that conversation. Know the fact that, give me that book.
Read the book, yeah.
Let me read that book now. It's like, but now in hindsight, I realised that, reading that book and that knowledge and that information from people that have a track record from before is the knowledge of what will set me free. And it's really, I'm not really trodding the path they're going. I'm walking the path they're going. I'm actually in a car, possibly on a super highway they've built already to get from A to B. Whereas what I had to do is I had to make my own path all the way through, zig and zagging all the way through. But now I've actually created a path that goes straight ahead. So anybody that really plugs their head, self into me would actually get this super highway mentality, and the fact that they'll get from A to B far quicker than it took me to do, because I know the things that you shouldn't be doing, which will hold you back.
Yeah.
We talked about it the other week, shiny penny.
Yeah.
Like, oh, look at that. So it's being thankful for these things, and being thankful as well for the things that you've got, like your health, your wealth, your family, your friends, the people round about you. And the very fact that you're being thankful is you probably earn about 90% more than what the rest of the world earns at this point in time. You might
that's
not
an interesting fact for everybody.
You might not understand that or believe that, but most people in the UK earn about 90%. And 90% of the people in the UK earn, more. 90% people in the UK earn 90% more than the people, 90% of the people in the world.
Yeah.
Which most listeners, no matter what their form, you've got to be thankful for that. Yeah. Look at the guy in Kenya in the mud hut who's having to go out and kill his goats every day, which gives him milk, and he's having to make a compromise, or she's having to make a compromise I have to kill that goat in order to feed myself, in order to survive. They rely on the mountain, and when you're going up Everest, it's like maybe a yak's fallen off the mountain, a wild yak or a cow or something like that. It's fallen off the mountain, it's lying there, and the guys are slicing it up for their tea. They're basically slicing it up because it's like, oh my God, this thing's just falling in our lap. Let's get as much meat off of this possible and take it with us and take it back to our families. That's effectively what these people are like. And we look at ourselves and think, why have I not got my central heating?
We just spoke about that. So
yeah.
It's
chilly. It's a wee bit chilly the day. It's like, oh my God, the fact that you're living a lot longer. 30-year-old, 100 years ago, 30-year-old was the average life. We're now living a 60 and 70-year-old. We're living double beyond that. It's nothing to do with health and actually looking after ourselves. It's medicines. It's access to proper health care. That's why we're living longer. The next evolution for us, this is what, listen into this, the next evolution, you'll never read this anywhere else right now. The next evolution is medicine 3.0. Now, medicine 1 was just generally patching yourself up. Medicine 2 was all about, things like radiotherapy, chemotherapy, and all the rest of it. Medicine 3 is all about making sure what you're putting into your body, what you're putting into your mind, and how the toxins that you're absorbing every single day is how to avoid these in order to avoid long-term illnesses like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, all these different things. This is what's going to start killing us off now. You've got all these diseases in your body the day you're born. So you've got to be thankful for the very fact that you've got healthcare that gets you through this and understands it. But the next evolution and the way to live longer and live a more prosperous life and maybe a healthier life is actually to take care of your body earlier now. Science isn't going to do this for you anymore.
Yeah.
You have to do it on your own accord. Definitely.
Yeah, totally agree.
Absolutely. Diary of a CEO, he just talked about that the other night. How to live a long life. I expect, and we had talked about 110. I've now got my mind. I wonder if I could make it to 150. Just the very prospect of that in my mind, thinking what I need to do to get to 150 might actually see me to 120. See how I've built that? See how I've got that mentality?
It's like the aiming for the stars and hitting the moon and the
back down. Because then I'm now thinking about the things that I'm ingesting every single day and the environment that I'm putting myself in, what I'm absorbing in my skin. When you put deodorants on, it's like the first thing I look is, right, there's no smell. I didn't need to put a deodorant on.
Yeah. It's funny because, like you say about how you changed your approach to things and got really meticulous about obviously systems and how things work, and that then when you started to think about this, Jim, I know obviously that you started to get really meticulous about even down to deodorant and things absorbing into your skin, and it's but I mean, people might think that's maybe a wee bit overkill.
I guess. Right. Here's what happens. What happens. Everybody remember the numbskulls in the Beano. You used to run about and wee men in your head and women in your head. It ran about and sorted all your body out. Effectively, that's what you've got in your system. You've got all these things that actually, sort your system as you go, but they can only sort so much within you. So they're only sorting so much within you. When you ingest a toxin, and I mean things like a deodorant, because that's a toxin, when you put sun cream on as well, and you ingest that into your skin, which is your biggest lymph node, which absorbs into your bloodstream and into your brain, all these wee things in your body, all these fight all these infections off, runs to that as well and thinks, I can't cope with fighting with everything. I've only got a limited amount of people here in order to do this. So what am I going to do? You're going to have to wait then. You're going to have to let that shit go around your brain and your bloodstream and affect your arteries. That's what happens to you. So this is why you've got to be extremely thankful for where you are right now and the technology that we've got and the world we live in and the country that we live in right now. Because God forbid you could be sitting in the middle of the Ukraine like right now.
I know.
Yeah. You could be in Russia. You could be in America where it's all gun shootings and stuff like that. There's the highest crime rate. Yeah. And healthcare is you have to pay for it.
Yeah.
Education. People have got student loans and their student loans are like $200,000. And we're greeting at the fact that we didn't have heating in our house. It's like, my heating's no working today. Why is that? That's what you've got to be thankful for.
Yeah, definitely important that I think whatever your circumstances or whatever it is, just take a step back and think about what you actually have. Now, I think we move on to the next topic what we've got, Jim, and it's buying time. And you, as the self-proclaimed Time Lord, I think time is quite an important thing. Mark mentioned there about delegating, Jim. You spoke about obviously having the right people around you. Delegating is obviously a really important thing. Hence the reason that I ended up working with you and a lot of our other team. Mark always says Richard, do you live your rich life? I'm well on my way of my journey, Mark, but I feel like I'm quite early on in the stages, but I'm on the way. But yeah, buying time back, and now it might sound a bit like a cliche because a lot of people do say it, and a lot of like YouTubers and gurus or whatever do say
money
that.
Is not right. Here it comes. Money is not the most valuable commodity. Yes. It's time. Time is the one. If you can buy your time back, and this is what I go on about every single time. Time Lord, Time Lord, Time Lord. That's what you want to become. Because if you have the money and you can buy back your time, and you no longer need to use your time for anything else, and you could do what you want to do when you want to do it. This is truly the way to live a rich life. Definitely. If you've got your time, your goal is not to accumulate more money, it's to accumulate more time. And it's to accumulate the money to buy back the time as well. Now, this again comes back to saying, I have a great saying that I say every single time. I'm going to be temporarily ambitious to be permanently lazy. I like being temporarily ambitious to be permanently lazy. And temporal ambition is all about just putting hours in, putting exactly what you want. And that's where people go, oh, well, it's like you're spending on this time. I'm investing my time like an author invests in writing a book, because they invest all that time and effort in writing that book, or they invest in all that time and effort in doing that course. And then what they do is they sell it to someone else, and they then go and sell it, and they get a royalty off it. Therefore, they're no longer involved in it. Therefore, their time is now making money. So it's the initial investment in the time that you put into it. It reaps all the crops and all the harvest for the years and 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 years, and even years after you're dead for your next generation. That's how important it is to be temporally ambitious, to be permanently lazy. I like being lazy. It suits me. My skin, my wrinkles disappear, and I get a better tan, and I feel better overall.
Yeah, I think obviously that and how you put that out there, it kind of ties into the thing that we're going to talk about next, and which is spending your time on things that scale up. And I think that kind of falls into that category as well. I think if we just kind of talk about them as at the same time, because that kind of merge into that, Jim. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. This goes on to the fact that, the typical example about if you're spending your time all the time, every single year, your counter goes and resets to zero at the start of the year again. So at the start of the financial year, your counter resets to zero. You've got nothing left to show for it. This is where it's essential then to spend your time on the things that actually will scale for you. This is about your side hustles. I'm a great believer every single time as you work your normal 9 to 5 job and you maximize it for as much as it's got. In other words, and then take a lot of that you're generating in there and invest it for this time on the things that you can scale. And you can scale things like wealth creation. You can scale things like compounding. You can, property whether that's property investment, whether that's crypto for someone, whether that's, well, look what happens to crypto now. Where's all the crypto people now? Disappear. Total complete fad. Where's all the property people? They've been here for hundreds of years, every single year, day in, day out. Every single year, day in, day out, every single minute of the day, every single second of the day, the property people are always still here because everybody needs a roof over their head. Gold, silver, whatever it is you want to invest in. If you want to invest in the Standard & Poor, 500 index, which goes up almost every single year, but the point of that is you're taking some of your money and you're putting it into the side hustle. And everybody goes, but I've not got enough money at the end of the month. You have to sit down and work out a budget for yourself. I think that's really what it comes down to. You have to sit down where all your money is going, where you're actually investing everything, and where is it going? Because that allows you then to spend the time on the things that you need to scale. It gives you more focus. This is the classic example about how could I live till 150? What would it need to do? And people out there immediately go, I would never want to live to 150 because they imagine themselves as old and decrepit and they'll not be able to move. That wee thing that the boy's just sucking a straw in the bed and he's just like a bag of bones. And it's like this guy's 140, the oldest person in the world, and he's just sucking a straw. And it's like, that's not 150 for me. I've got every intention of still running along the beach. But whether my body copes like that, I then have to work out in my mind. It's like, how will I get this to work like this? So, set yourself ambitious goals. People will laugh at you. Hey, 150, you're delusional. Hey, you'll not find out if I get there anyway because you'll be dead by then.
Yeah.
But they've not got that mentality. That's the kind of things. That's the kind of things that motivate me and make me look at that. So time disappears and you've really got nothing to show for it every single day. What's just happened now has gone.
It's gone.
You'll
never get it back.
Yeah, what happens now? So the past is in the past. There's no future in it. So it's all about moving forward and actually working out how you can get your future. But it's also making sure you've got enough money to put aside for that. So it's if you spend your time and energy building something that will make you money, this is about writing the book, about investing in that fund. And I'm only talking about small amounts. It doesn't take much. My children have almost like their pensions are absolutely huge in comparison. Yeah. I never even had a pension at their age.
Yeah.
But I made sure they got that early, and I've talked to everybody. Everybody I've talked to, I've been religious. I've been almost fanatical about the whole process about children's pensions, about taking them out now because the time that they've got on their side for compounding wealth is astronomical. It's the difference between the 30 day and the 31 day. The 30 day you're at 5 million at one pence double up for every day.
Yeah.
Over 30 days, and then the next day you're at 11 million.
Yeah.
So you've got time on your side if you're younger, if you start earlier. Buffett, that's how he started. Richest man in the world. Buffett doesn't talk about anything other than the fact that, hey, he had his time on his side. He realizes as a young man, in his 16, 17-year-old, that if he started investing now for his future, he would be pretty wealthy when he retired. But then on the journey, when he bumped into other people in his same mindset, he then began to learn from them and learn even more skills, which he applied to what he was doing, which actually accelerated him even more. So you won't know all the answers today if you start now, but you will acquire all these answers on the way. But the key here is you've got to have the faith that you're going to end up where you want to be.
Yeah.
Now, nobody's lived till 150-year-old. So why would I have that thought process and why would I think it would be me? But I have complete and deliberate faith in the fact that, that could be achievable. There's always got to be somebody that's got to be first.
Just going to say, somebody's going to get there one day.
Somebody's got to be first. Somebody's got to be first. That's it. Now, somebody will probably be first well before me. But it have to why would you accumulate all this wealth and then get to 50 or 60-year-old and then get 10, 15 years of it?
Mm-hmm.
I said to Elaine yesterday, my wife, I said, You have to make sure we have to live long enough to actually enjoy this.
That's
This
true,
is what
though.
you have
Yeah,
to focus on now.
definitely.
It's not about, it's like you have to make sure now we're at 55, 56-year-old.
Yeah.
We've got to now live at least another 45 years to enjoy this. As far as I'm concerned, that's the case. But we've got to look after our health more than likely and make sure we don't end up like most people do, which is Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, all these ailments. And cardiovascular is a huge one right now.
Yeah.
This is the next thing, the difference between and your health and what's going on. So this is the time to spend on the time that you need to scale, which brings us to that next point, doesn't it?
Yeah, and then obviously scaling up and then looking, you were talking there about investing in things, Jim, and this is related into time and scaling up, and it's building and buying assets, and how you implemented your build and buy asset strategy, Jim, to your buy to let portfolio.
All related to buying time back.
Yeah.
That's it. Vast majority of people work every day and have nothing to show for it at all. One of the secrets I've learned to building wealth is that wealthy people build and buy assets every single time. If you've ever read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad by Kiyosaki about Keith Cunningham, you'll know most people don't know what an asset is. Most people don't know what an asset is. They think their house is an asset.
If you ask somebody to definitely tell you what an asset is, they probably couldn't.
Newsflash, your house is not an asset.
No.
It's a tool to secure your place on the property ladder, and it's a place with a roof over your head to have wind and watertight and safety. That's all it provides you for your family. You're renting it effectively because you're paying for it every single day until the day you give it up. Buying a separate property, which you don't live in, that you can earn money out of, is an asset.
Yeah, I was just going to say, what I was just going to say, what is an asset then, Jim? Something that generates money and puts money in your pocket, basically.
An asset is something that builds wealth over a period of time. Your house doesn't build wealth over a period of time. The only way an asset, here's how I changed my house into an asset. So my house has been a liability up to the last year. And then I changed it into an asset because what I did was I bought our next house, which we're going to downsize into. Okay, so I've secured my place now, my next place on the ladder. There's no fluctuations in prices anymore. I've got the next place, and I rented it until we're ready to move into it. Now, when we move into it, I will not own it. My children will own it in a limited company, and I will rent it from them. So it's no longer this house that we're in is an asset because as it goes up in value over time, I've now secured that money. It comes in on the value of the house now because I have somewhere else to go already. So I've got my place secure. That's the key there. So everything I earn from this goes up in value, and then I'll release all that money out because at that time it will probably it isn't mortgage free now because I could make more money on the money I'm making. And there's reasons behind that. But there is a huge amount of equity in there, which I'll release, and then I'll either pay down some of the debt, or then I'll just give it to my children. And folk are going like, why would you not enjoy it? What do you think I'm doing right now?
Yeah.
It's like you can only spend so much. It's like I didn't really want to go out and buy a Ferrari or a Lamborghini. Although I did see Kevin Anderson showing some stuff last night, and I went, for God's sake, didn't tell me where you can see that.
So in terms of assets, Jim, would it be fair to say that the average person, the only asset they probably have is, you mentioned pensions, and it's probably their pension and investment fund, the retirement fund, sorry.
You've got no chance. If you've just got invested in a pension, you've had it. You're up the Sony. If you're relying on your company pension to bail you out when you retire, you've had it. You're gonna be exactly in all the people that are in right now with their pensions, exactly the same position.
Yeah.
Because what's going to happen is when you all retire, because you've all got pensions in all these different companies, because you all work for someone, so you're all putting money aside for a pension now. Everybody's going to get to the same buying power. Therefore, all the prices of inflation are going to raise up to that price. All the house prices are going to raise up to that, up in value as well over the next 20 years. House prices will double for this very reason. Because when all that money is released out of these pensions, when everybody's been putting away, everybody's exactly the same again. Therefore, it's like printing money we just did in COVID. It's like the economy then goes boom. and then all the prices raise up to actually match that buying power again. That's how they make money. That's how the banks make money. That's how the producers make money. That's how the businesses make money. They just move their prices up in supply and demand because the economy can take that now. There's only so much people can buy. I mean, there's only so much oranges and apples you can buy. There's only so much they can grow. So if there's more demand for it, they just put the price up.
Yeah.
They make more money. So therefore, your pension ain't going to bail you out at all. You're going to be on skint row still. 2/3 of what you couldn't afford to live on in the first place. That's what most pensions are. The average retirement fund for a pension, the last I heard, was £30,000. That's the total value of it, by the way,
I was just going to say
not
that's
the actual
nothing.
year. That's not the yearly amount. That's the total value of the people that are retiring right now. On average, it's £30,000. You may hear the stories of people at Diageo taking 500,000 and 600,000 for working 40 years because Diageo bought them out. They're one-offs.
Yeah.
They're one-offs in this area. But the average person is retiring on next to nothing. And you're not going to get anything. Look at £30,000 in an investment account now. How much would that make you every year? 1%. You'd be living on £300 a year. You're not even living on 10%, which is 3,000 a year. You've got 1%, which is 300 quid a year off that 30 grand you've got in your pension. Good luck with that.
You're not going to be able to live on that.
That's why you've got to build wealth. You've got to build assets. I couldn't care less what anybody else says. This is the way forward. If you're not going to do that, you're going to suffer the consequences. Again, I will do today what others will not to achieve tomorrow what others cannot. So it's the John Paul Getty thing. You know, he once said, John Paul Getty, richest man in the world at the time in the oil in the 1930s, you know, when everybody else was hard on the luck, they were clinging it in. They were multi-millionaires, if not billionaire status at that time, the Getty family. And what happened out of that is, he once said, look, in order to be successful in life, all you need to do is just observe the masses and what they're doing and do the exact opposite. Do the exact opposite.
Yeah.
Observe the masses, do the opposite. If everybody's in a job and working, go and do something else different to that. But I'm still a great believer in the fact that start with the job, get the side hustle.
And have your side hustle.
The side hustle will pay. So this is all about, I've not got enough money. Okay, so you've not got enough money. There's two things you can do here. You can actually look at what you're spending your money on right now, and you can go, right, we don't need that. We don't need this. We don't need that. We don't need that. We don't need this. Oh, we definitely need that. We definitely need this. This is all our fixed costs. This is the stuff we've got to spend on. And we need that. That's our core amount we have to spend. And then start again, afresh, and go, okay, that leaves us this amount. So I'm going to put 10% aside to live my rich life. Every single month, you've got 10%.
Do the things
yeah, live your rich life with that 10%. Go on a night out. Go on a weekend. Go to the rugby. Go to a concert. You've got the money to do it. Spend it. Definitely spend it. The 10%. Don't try and save it, because this is what most people don't like. They don't like the fact that because it's like you've got a temptation to go, I tell you what, I'll just actually save that as well. I mean, all work and no play makes Johnny a dull boy.
Yeah.
And if you want to pay the price like me, which is your mental health, then yeah, do that then. That you will go a bit doolally. You will not be able to cope sometimes. And if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do, and that's the price you're going to have to pay for it. But if you really want to have a rich life now, and you want to have something for the future, then 10% spend on yourself right now, 10% put aside in a fund every single time. So 20% of your income is going away. Some of it's getting spent, some of it's getting that. And therefore, you'll probably have a bit more left, and then you start to divide up what you want to do with that and how you want to do it. That's how you do it. I'll guarantee you, every single person out there that spends money right now will be spending stuff on things that they don't need to impress people that they don't like. Every single time. We see it on Instagram all the time, don't we?
Yeah.
Look at my new car. Everybody goes, yay, like. I'll guarantee you 2 weeks later, most people I speak to after 2 weeks go, I think I wish I hadn't bought it now.
Yeah, bother. Yeah, I know. The novelty's worn off. And it's
the novelty's worn off. The honeymoon effect's gone. So if you really want to have that car, go and hire it for 2 weeks. If it costs you £2,000 or £3,000 to hire it for 2 weeks, go and hire it for 2 weeks. Run about in it. Get a real thrill out of it. Take loads of photographs out. Have that feeling. Anchor it in. Get your move Anchor it in where you are, where you can bring that back, that dopamine hit anytime you want. So you memorize that and anchor that feeling. Then you get rid of it after 2 weeks, and job done, out of your system. But you've still got all that with you.
Yeah.
I could go through the process of winning the lottery every single day. Genuinely.
We spoke about that, and it's how to get that feeling, but you have to have got your being able. You obviously, I think you said you learned this. Was it Tony Robbins you learned this, Jim? Yeah.
How to anchor certain feelings. How to anchor, and the easiest way to anchor feelings, as we all know it, we've all got that one record. When the music comes on, it's like boom.
Yeah.
It's like you just go, this is my song. I'm going to get my groove on, and all the adrenaline and all the dopamine and endorphins rush to your brain to say, this is your gig.
Yeah.
Let's go for it. Let's go for it. This is the happy time. That's how you get that. That's how you get that feeling, and then you can switch it off just like that as well. So I've just done that right now.
Yeah.
So I've just experienced it, and it's hit my brain, and I've switched it off again. That's discipline and that's control. Because you can't live in that planet all the time, because then you'll just completely exhaust yourself.
Burn yourself out.
Yeah, effectively that burn. Yeah, but it's called burnout, because your body is only designed to take so much in order to get you above that threshold to work at that high level position, and then you have to drop back down again in terms of there. And if you don't drop back down, you're on a hiding to nothing. You will burn out. So that's key about building assets, building wealth for your healthy, happy retirement. No limits. Put no limits to producing incomes of your assets and build and buy and all the rest of it.
I think it'd be fair to say that learning how to build and or buy assets and things is one of the most important secrets to living a rich life. From what you obviously we've just spoke about.
Yeah. I would say so. It's you. There is a bit of delayed gratification here. Definitely, you have to learn to delay gratification. You can't, and it's easy. It's easy for somebody to see another fund. Open 2 or 3 bank accounts. So you've got a savings fund that goes away and disappears, and you never see it. And don't look at it every day. That's the worst thing you could ever do. Because it's the money burns a hole in your pocket scenario, like my dad used to say. Incidentally, my dad used to say money doesn't grow on trees either. And I went, well, money's actually made from paper, and paper comes from trees. And that was the day I got a clout across the ear. But I was right.
Yeah.
Money did grow on trees. but money can grow on trees as well. It's called apples and oranges, isn't it? Orchard, production, manufacturing, farming, all these different things. So it's building assets. It will produce positive cash flow, and investing can be an asset. Also, buying real estate for rental can be an asset. Investing gold, well, it doesn't produce any money, but it goes up and down, secures your place, and it's supposed to be a tax-free asset. I'm not really sure about that, because I know Norman Wisdom got nailed for it for silver. There's a famous test case for Norman Wisdom where he argued that he wasn't due any money, any tax on the gains that he had made in silver, and it was actually overturned, and he was taxable in it. So it is taxable whether you like it or no. It doesn't. You can't hide it. They'll get you sooner or later. They'll get you sooner or later when you do things like that. Learn to build assets, and it is really one of the secrets of living a rich life. And the assets don't need to be. It doesn't need to be real estate. It could be something else. It brings us nicely on to the next one, Richard.
Yeah, the next one we're going to talk about is investing in yourself, and you've spoke a lot this afternoon about your own self being, and obviously investing in yourself, whether that be training or developing your skill in something. And you always hear like entrepreneurs and things talk about how important it is to invest in yourself. And you've always figured they're maybe talking about, I don't know, maybe thought they're talking about spa days and things. Now, obviously, maybe a spa day is good, could help your mental health and help you, obviously, if you're not in the right headspace and things. But
you know what? See the mental health thing.
Is it?
See the mental health thing. It's overrated. Let's be honest. People talk about all the time. Oh, my mental health. Oh, my mental health. Oh, my mental health.
Yeah.
It's like, give it a rest. It's
I know.
like,
I mean,
it's if you really want to, you've got to learn to push yourself in some
mhm,
shape or form. If you're never pushed out of your comfort zone, that is all about, a mental thing, about being uncomfortable. If you never push yourself out of your comfort zone, you'll never achieve anything.
yeah,
There was never a statue erected to a critic. So I couldn't care less who has a go at me because of that. It's like, this is the life I've done, and this is what I've done to get where I am. And several times I've just gone beyond that. There
yeah.
is actually interesting questions. We might talk about this next week. There's 10 interesting questions which will actually tell me straight away, and it will tell you if you're actually going to succeed in life. That's a classic.
I'm writing it down as we speak.
Yeah, it's as if you're gonna no, it is a quick quiz. It is a quick quiz, so it's not going to be a whole show.
No,
But I might
but
actually cover it next week. So if you bring it up next week,
yeah,
I'll
no, I've
maybe
wrote
have
that down.
these prepared 10 questions and actually ask people to answer these 10 questions truthfully, and then I'll tell them what it means with the answers that you're given, because it will tell me straight away whether you've got the kahunas
Hmm.
to actually stay in the game long enough
Yeah,
to actually build wealth, and whether you need to change your mindset in order to do that. So it gives a lot. It gives a lot away in terms of that.
I'm
So
laughing at Mark's wrote question one. Do you watch the Wealth Creation Show?
so I always hear in entrepreneurs, and whatever that is really, how important it is to invest in yourself.
Yeah.
Now, over the years, people put a price tag on how much they've invested. I have hundreds of thousands, I suppose, if you add it up over the years. But more importantly, it's the time I've invested. It's probably worth more than anything,
Hmm.
because once you invest in yourself, that knowledge and information really doesn't disappear. And you could always go back to it. It's like the classic example of, if you want to be a lawyer if I wanted to be an accountant and specialize in auditing, I would have excelled in auditing at my exams, which I did. And
Yeah.
I excelled in taxation as well. I got distinctions in both, in management accounting as well, actually. And in fact, I got distinctions in everything. But hey, wait a minute. How is that possible? Let's bring that back.
Okay.
How is it possible? This is investing in myself, and I got distinctions in everything. We're talking about accountancy, management accounting, auditing, internal taxation. We're also talking about business law. And it's like, how on earth did you manage to get distinctions in everything if you failed accountancy at school? You failed O grade and you failed the higher. So how the hell did you manage to do that
Hmm.
when you were at college? And this is all about point of readiness as well. Are you prepared to take that journey? Are you prepared to put that time in? Are you prepared to invest in yourself? Are you prepared to discipline yourself in order for a brighter future? Because investing in yourself will make you more money in years to come than ever you will get right now.
Yeah.
Because learning something is valuable to someone else. This is the great one I hear from a lot of people. Oh, I've got 20 years experience in my job. All right, what have you been doing? Well, I've been taking this from here and I've been putting it there. Okay, what else have you been doing? Well, I've been taking this from here and I've been putting it from here. Oh, what else have you been doing? Well, I was taking this from here and I was putting it from here. All right, okay. So how long were you doing that for when you learned that, when you actually picked it up? Oh, well, it was 6 months and I was able to do from here to here. Okay. Have you been doing anything else outside of that? Well, no, really. Okay. So you got 6 months experience in doing that job. It's
Hmm.
just that you've done it for 20
You've
years.
just done it
Yeah.
repetitively. Yeah.
You've no learned anything else other than that period of time of 6 months. Everything else was just a trained monkey could do it.
Yeah. Do you know one of the important things for me? I think when you talk about investing in yourself and learning and adapting and thing, and you pointed this out to me, and we've over the years went to a lot of training things, and I've developed skills. And then, but what I used to do is always try and absorb everything, and try and do everything. Like if you say you went to a training course or whatever it was, for example. But I think it's important to remember you're never going to take everything away and learn everything from one course or one book or one. But if you
Yeah.
could take maybe one or two or possibly three things away and implement them, and then let them allow you to progress yourself in your position, and keep doing that. And I see over the years I've took wee bits from different things I've done, and I use them all the time now. So so I feel like that's a better way of utilising the knowledge or the skill.
So I was never really an excel at anything in particular
Mm-hmm.
at that point in time. I was never a natural, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because if I was a natural, I wouldn't have failed everything miserably at school, but then passed everything later on.
Yeah.
But what I learned to do when I invested in myself was I learned to discipline myself. The fact that if I made these tiny improvements every single day, and then over a period of time, it would just compound and go up and up and up in terms of the knowledge and expertise I've got. Now, the classic example is
Then they
Frank
become
Dick,
habits.
the coach Frank Dick, who coached the England Rugby League when they were way beyond God knows when or where. And I think it was Frank, I listened to Frank from stage because we had him in as one of our speakers when I was in network marketing. So Frank talked about it, he says, but he talked about in coaching, it's only about getting people to learn 3 things at a time. So in other words, get good at this, that, and that, but don't do anything else now. Just get good at that, that, and that. Okay. Are you good at that? Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so you've got 2, so you can add another one in again and get good at this now. So it's just these 3 things that you continually get good at all the time. And then when you get really good at that one, that's out the way, then you add another one in to replace it with the third one again. So you only work on 3 things to get good at every single time if you're going to be doing anything. And that's what compounds over a longer period of time. We're in it for the long game. This isn't a get rich quick scheme. Anything. Life is not that. It's the ability to hang on in there and have the faith that you will acquire that knowledge or have that knowledge and be able to implement that knowledge in order to set yourself free later on and to have that rich lifestyle.
Yeah.
But as you acquire that knowledge, then you become more valuable to other people. And then that's when folk go, how would you like to come and work with me?
Yeah.
I could give you double the salary. Really? Wow. Okay. What can I do with double the salary? Wow. I've got my lifestyle. I've got my lifestyle where I am right now. Okay. So I can continue to live that lifestyle, but the double the salary would allow me to take the amount of money I'm making the double the salary and invest that and still continue to live the lifestyle I've got now. See how that works?
Yeah.
Now I might take a wee bit out of that extra and then just go, okay, I'll put that and I'll live a wee bit of more rich lifestyle now, but I'll still put substantial amount of the increase that I've got. So every time you get a salary increase, don't think, oh, prices of food have gone up 20%. I'm going to have to spend 20% more on my food bill. No. Shop around, get better prices, cut your food bill back to where it was, okay? And still maintain to buy the same things, but maybe different brands. So instead of going for the Weetabix, go for the Tesco's own brand, these sort of things. And you want the luxuries in life, and I mean luxuries at that time for me was branded goods.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I would never dream of buying a brand. What? I'm going to buy it's like they're about 40% cheaper. Why would I not just buy them? That's the sort of thing. It's the classic as well. Somebody said to me right now, "Do you know the price of beans? Heinz beans? They're about £1 a can." And I'm like,
Or Heinz
okay,
tomato sauce at the minute. It's a big thing.
you can go right down to blooming Aldi's and you can get a 4 for £1.25.
I know.
And Newgate brand for £1.25. But there are no Heinz beans. I tell you what, for a quarter of the price, I would be okay with that.
They'll do.
For the quarter of the price, and they're just as good in the taste, that's good enough for me. Because you imagine if you do that right across the board, how much money you'll be able to save, but more importantly, how much money you'll have to put into other things to live that rich life that you really want. We often forget. Here's a one that I did recently. I booked my hire car for our holiday at the end of the month. Okay? So I booked my hire car, and it cost me quite a bit of money. I tell you what, it's a flexible thing because the way I do it, I do a key and go. So you just get oil machine and you're off. Yeah. Everything's paid for. You don't need to worry about checking things off and all the rest of it. Because time's more important to me. The extra 100, 150 quid that I pay for the key and go and having to wait for somebody to tick all the boxes and then all the stress involved, it's like, to hell with that. I'm off. Just give me the key, I'm off. Full insurance and covered. So the time's more important to me now. It's become more valuable to me. So 150 quid extra is nothing in comparison to the time it saves me and the stress and the hassle. But the key here is, I then saw, because it's got, you can cancel it any time and get your money back, I then went on again and booked it again, and it was 190 quid cheaper.
Really?
So I cancelled the first one.
Yeah. I mean, what we spoke about here is actually it's kind of into our next topic, which is building your money brain.
Yeah,
So that, and
absolutely.
that's what we've already kind of started talking about. So
Can I just quickly come back to the invest in yourself? Invest in yourself,
all right.
invest in time in yourself. The money you spend on courses, which are completely relevant to what you do, are really important.
Yeah.
The thing that's going to set you free the most. A university course is maybe going to get you where you want to be if you want to be a specialist in something like a lawyer or an accountant, or you want to be a doctor or a GP or something like that. Fair enough. But if you're going to study history and it's nothing to do with what you're doing, forget going to uni. It's just like go and get out, and because when you think about the amount of money that people loan to go and do that, you could have just started your own business.
Yeah.
You could have just lived the first year off the loan and actually survived the first year and reinvested all the money back into the baby, which is the business, and actually built your business. So in the next year, your business would have paid for you for anything on. Now that is the best education you'll get. Because I tell you what, the information and experience and the knowledge you'll gain from starting your own business is way beyond what you'll ever learn anywhere else.
It's boots on the ground life experience things
Yeah,
that you learn.
I used to. What I used to do was I used to do 2 or 3 business plans. You know, it never came to anything. But I put all the business plans together. One was a wholesale paper, wholesale paper, in other words, from Tillis Russell. You know, cut out the middleman. The other one was probably an early Amazon when you think about it, because it was before Amazon existed. And then Employment Gazette. So when the Employment Gazette appeared, it appeared 6 months after I had actually said, no, I'm not going to do it now. And then all of a sudden, this Employment Gazette for the UK appeared, and then it became Indeed eventually online. So these are all things I did, which I never actually took anywhere else, but I got a huge amount of experience actually doing it in the first place and talking to all the people who would advertise with me in interaction with other businesses. It never started, but the experience I got from doing it was invaluable. So this is what all about investing in yourself is.
Yeah.
Spend the money, invest in yourself for your future, and it will pay you dividends for then to come. Build your money brain. Definitely, it builds on that completely, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Building your money brain.
People fight with a poverty mindset all the time, and I know we don't understand where you are right now. For the people listening and tuning in, but you don't understand where I am. Okay, I know exactly where you are, because I was homeless and unemployed at one point in time. And I've gone through all these struggles. I've gone through all these things. You know, I had a great job. Somebody wiped it out. No fault of my own. I had no formal education at that time either. So I ended up going back to college. But I was just sick and tired of being sick and tired. So I do know where most people are at any point in their life, because I've probably been through most of them, including addictions as well. So don't tell me, oh, my addiction. It's like, no, I've probably had it as well.
Yeah.
So
you say about people having the poverty mindset things, Jim, and we've spoke previously and all about people having that wee voice or that wee person on your shoulder, and do you know what I mean, that niggles at you and maybe makes you think otherwise than the way your money brain should be set up.
Yeah, Mark actually says my son's expressed a wish to be a lawyer. I'll be honest, Mark, just let them do what they want. Just, I mean, I have now realised, you just let your children find their own way, encourage them as much as possible. Don't tell them that they can't do it. Encourage them on their way, whatever they want to do. I mean, Scott works at the Bayer Theatre, technician, you know, lighting production theatre.
Yeah.
Ben now works as an IT specialist in the R&A Golf. So he's now travelling the country, setting up all the IT for the golf events for the Open and stuff like that, and other things that the R&A are doing. Tony is effectively one of the top students in accountancy at Robert Gordon University, and yet she's a postie. She was happy. She's happy being a postie. She's happy
she likes it. Yeah.
Yeah, she loves doing that, and that's fantastic, and that's what she loves doing. But there's no way in hell. I remember when I was a window cleaner with my dad, and I remember my brother-in-law and my father-in-law saying to my brother-in-law when he was drunk one night, "You've only amounted to being a window cleaner." And I'm like, "Sorry? I'm a window cleaner." And he went, "Oh, well," and I went, "Who the hell do you think you are?" It's like, I'm a window cleaner as well, and you're castigating for him for being a window cleaner.
Yeah.
By the way, where are you? Oh, you're unemployed, aren't you? Oh, no, honestly, that's what it was. And I could not believe that. This is the poor mindset. This is how you
Yeah.
let other people drag you down. This is what I'm getting to. So we were raised, most people are raised fairly poor, but how is it? How is it? We're all born with stardom in our eyes, aren't we? Because we're all born the same. It's our life experiences and the people around us. It will hold us back or push or rise us up.
Yeah.
And this is why the next generation, in other words, you must encourage them as much as possible to find their own path. I've never had any expectation. People go, oh, but your kids will go into the state and say, or they'll go into property or this. No, I didn't think so. And I would never have any, because I've seen so many experiences from people like that, and my friends and the people, my work acquaintances, and even family businesses, where they don't want to do things like that, and they're resentful for it. And it's like, I would never want to do that. I went into a family business when I left school, and to be honest, I don't think it was the right thing I should have done. But I just fell into it because it was like, oh, I'll just go work with my dad as a window cleaner, and then with industrial cleaner. And, that was the sort of thing that you went and did. You just fell into it because I had no aspiration. I had no design about what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted something more, but I didn't know what that was at that point in time. So this is this poor mindset that people adopt, and they stick with it for the rest of their life. And then they begin to tell themselves rational lies. You know what rationalize is? It's just rational lies, isn't it? So when people start to rationalize things, they just tell themselves rational lies about it.
Justify things, yeah.
Yeah, this is about disease. Well, we're all born with disease, but it's not really disease, it's dis-ease. It's a dis-ease in your body. Bob Proctor talks about this all the time. About your dis-ease. It's not disease, it's dis-ease. There's something in your body that's not aligning right. It's making you ill as a result because the sun and the moon and the stars aren't aligning with each other. And it's the way your beliefs are compared to what you're actually doing in your actions. And if they don't align with each other, that's what causes this imbalance in your body. So this is all about building your money brain and making sure you can control that voice, making sure you can tell that voice to shut up. Mine's is Bubbles. Bubbles, shut up now and again. But some people have a money brain that they have to fight with all the time. It's what makes you think you're so special. Look how long it took me to retire from not from Tillis Russell, but from ESA Macintosh. It took me about 2 or 3 years to actually understand that I could actually physically retire. I would have been retired at 35-year-old if it wasn't for my preconceived mindset. I would have been out way before then. Now, I don't regret that because I am where I am because of the things that have happened in my past. I would never change that.
They're all part of your journey, yeah.
People say, what would you tell your 17-year-old self now? If you went, what would you tell them to do? I went, absolutely nothing.
Well, no, because then if you change anything, you might not be where you are now.
I would be shitting myself not to be where I am right now.
Yeah.
Honestly. And not to have what I've got right now.
Yeah.
Honestly. That's why I would never, ever think about going, oh, I would tell myself to go and buy Microsoft shares. No. Don't tell yourself anything. Don't say a damn word to them. Don't say anything. Don't even say it'll be all right, because that might mean that you'll put them on a different path. Because they'll go, hey, it's going to be all right. I'm shooting up. It's going to be all right. It's like you change the whole trajectory. Whereas they were shooting up and you didn't say it's going to be all right, they were going, I'm going to have to check into rehab. And then 20 years later, they're the master of all destinies and they're a guru because of the experiences that they had. But you've told them, nah, it's going to be all right. So they just keep going and kill themselves. So that's why you never regret and look back and think, I want to change this. What would I tell my younger self? Nothing. If you are going to tell yourself something, then clearly there's something you've got to reconcile with yourself right now about where you are. That should tell you straight away there's something that's happened to you that you're not happy with, and therefore you want it to change. And it's not too late to do it. Even if you're 50, 60, 70, 80-year-old, even if you're going on to your deathbed almost, it's not too late to change that.
Yeah.
If it means lifting up that phone and saying to your kids, I'm sorry, I love you, for all I've done.
And they go,
They
I
go
was
and
going
tell
to say it
you,
could be something as simple
no,
as that, but it's not
they go and
simple.
tell you F off, but at least you've done it. And
Yeah.
it's there and it's done and that's it. So these are the sort of things that you can do. So you have to fight with that brain all the time, because that's the one that works it through. But then that's the one that works in the mindset that actually works when you're dreaming as well. This is why you have horrific dreams sometimes, some people. You know, I used to have like Wes Craven dreams. You know, like Wes Craven's like Hellraiser and everything.
Yeah.
I used to have dreams like that years ago when I was a lot younger. But I had every belief that was my mind and my psyche working its way out of all the turmoil, and I was in at that time. Because if you've seen my early journey and my wealth creation and Diary of a Property Investor, where I first started, it wasn't a good place to be brought up. It wasn't.
Yeah.
It was a good environment to be brought up in, but it wasn't for the things that actually happened to me.
Yeah.
So no matter how much money you have in the bank, some people really can't enjoy life, and because they're all terrified that it's still going to disappear.
Yeah.
My mother and father's like that now. It's like, buy yourself a standard stair lift. You can't get up the stairs because you've got Parkinson's. Oh, my mum says, but it'll, you know what, it'll no make the house look good. It's like, what do you think's more important? Anyway, you're going to be using it later on anyway as well, so you get money for it. But that's the sort of things you get entrenched into when you get into that mindset, and it never disappears. So you need to build that money brain, and it doesn't mean just about thinking about money. It means about getting out that poverty mindset. That's where it is. That's definitely what I think. So it's a terrible way to live that way, and there's always more money out there. Remember, there's loads of money
You
out
always
there.
say that, Jim. There's lots of money out there. You just need to find a way to attract it to you.
Yeah, you've got to attract it to you. What do you think we're doing right now? Hello. It's like, I'm not doing this for money, really, but it naturally happens.
You're teaching people how to do that.
Jim Fleming, hey, you can what you're talking about. So go and, could you help me with this? And could you help me with that? And could you help me with this? And could you help me with that? And by the way, go and sell my house at the same time. Yeah, quid's in. And that's effectively why people use me, because I give them value way beyond what I'm doing for them in the first place. So they're quite happy to reciprocate that and say to me, yeah, okay, come and sell my house. It's like, but I've not told you what I'm going to charge you yet. I'm not caring. It's like, I'm not caring what you're going to charge me. It'll never replace what you've just given to me and what you've done for me. That's what happens as a natural result. As you give more, eventually you will receive more. That's, you give, and at some point in the future, you'll get. You have to be a real giver in life. This is why some people don't last too long in 5 properties, but some people like yourself, Richard, are still here.
Yeah.
Because you're a giver. And that's how you'll be successful, because that's the type of person you are deep down. It's the takers that don't last long within our environment that we're in, because they're takers, and they get identified as takers, and they get seen like that, and they don't have the same mindset. Therefore, they don't a machine. Therefore, eventually, they know they have to leave, because we're sitting saying, "Well, keep going, keep doing, keep giving, keep giving." It's like, I don't want to give anymore. I'm a greedy bugger. That's what they're like. It's like, well, I'm afraid you're at the wrong place. If you have to rely on being, here's a classic here. If you have to rely on your job paying you more money to feel valued, you're in the wrong job.
Yeah.
If you have to rely on your job to pay you more money to feel valued, you're in the wrong job. Definitely. 100%. You need to change jobs. But people don't realize that. They keep thinking, if I get more money, I'll feel better, I'll feel better, I'll feel better.
It's the whole validation thing as well.
I could give you hundreds of thousands of pounds. Your lifestyle will move up to that level, and then you will still want more money, because there's something that's not been fulfilled within. It's deep down in your beliefs. It's not been fulfilled. That's the problem. That's why you don't last long in certain situations, because you're fighting with yourself within. That comes onto the mindset, to think differently. The 7th one.
Yeah, thinking differently from, like you said earlier, way back at the beginning. Look at people and look what the masses are doing and do something different. And it's think differently from the pack of what the average person does, or what the majority of average people do. Think about that and do differently.
One thing a lot of people go on about every single time is you've got to own a house to be validated.
Yeah.
Parents tell them every single time, the younger generation now, and it's not applicable to the younger generation now, to be honest. is you have to own a house. And the younger generation are going, why do I need to own a house? Why? I mean, it's cheaper renting in most occasions now, because the value of the house and the mortgage and the amount you have to pay in finance, and the fact that you have to then look after the house, you've got to do all the repairs and improvements and everything else. And you don't have that. You've got the entry cost, you've got the exit cost as well of buying and selling. And it's only for a short period of time when you buy your first house. So is it actually worth doing that? I would argue for most people, first time buyers, I would probably just rent in the beginning.
Yeah.
Once you find your ideal life partner and you're going to have a family and the family's coming along, that's the time to buy the house.
Then you find something that's secure, a lot more secure in terms of where you're going to live for a longer period of time.
Yeah, because now it's worth it. It's worth it to do that. That's where you probably do that. But all that time, people say, "But that's dead money. That's dead money." No, it's not. Because the money that you're saving from not having to do all the repair bills, the money that you're saving from actually not having to pay all the interest on the mortgage and everything like that, and the money that you're saving from the entry and exit costs of actually buying and selling within such a short period of time, it could actually be put away for buying that house later on, and actually be put into proper funds in order to grow, to possibly buy more, grow exponentially more. I know a lot of people are landlords that actually only rent their house and they rent to everybody else as well. They don't actually own their house.
Yeah, I know a few as well.
And yet everybody still has that mindset of, oh, I've got to own a house to be wealthy. No, you're not, because you're not going to get it. You're still staying in the house before you die. The only way you'll ever be wealthy at a house, if you buy it to stay in it, is the day you die. But you can't actually get any of that money. So you're not going to make any money out of that. Again, I come back to saying the house is just a living. It's just comfort and affordability. So think different from the park. People wrestle with that idea about the house thing. The society loves home ownership. It's associated with being an adult, all these different things. Every time you meet an adult, so when are you going to buy a house? That's what people say. When you buy you bought your first house. Oh, you bought your new car. Let's everybody go out and have a look at your new car. I'm like, it's only a bloody car. It's like, I'm not going out to look at anything. It's raining. I could care less. Even my family, when I bought my camper van, it's like, let's go and have a look at it. And I'm like, there's the keys then. It's like, I'm not bothered. It's for me. It's not to validate me in front of everybody else. It's only for me and my pleasure. I'm not interested in showing it to anybody else and saying, oh, look what I've got. I've got this. It's like, nah, that's not what that's for. So if you can get over that and you can see past that, you can understand. That's where you need to be in terms of your mindset. Think differently from the park. Now, I'm not saying it's going to apply to everybody. You'll have your own journeys to actually to get through and go through as well. Our society has that set of rules, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Now, here's what happens.
Yeah.
Go to school. Work hard at school. Get an education. Come out of school. Go to university now is added on. Get knee deep in debt with your student loan. Go and have a great time. This is another one. University is all about having a fantastic time and staying in student accommodation with everybody else. Bullshit. University is all about educating yourself to get a better paid position in order to invest more money for the future and have more money to live your rich lifestyle. It's not about having a good time. It's about educating yourself. And people use it as an opportunity to have a worldly event. It's like, no, don't get yourself racked up in student debt, because you're probably getting involved in something you're never going to use for your career later on. Because most people change their careers about 3 or 4 times. They do completely different things. I would never have in a lifetime thought I would be an estate agent. I'd never thought I'd be a letting agent either. I had no desire to be like that when I first started. I wanted to be a policeman. God knows where that came from. Maybe a control thing. It's like, you're doing this because I say so. That's the law. It's like maybe a referee. No, I didn't want to be that either. I can't stand football. So these are the sort of things. It's the stay, work hard at school. And I always used to say to my children, when my kids walked out the door, I used to say, have a fantastic day, work smart. I never used to say work hard. I used to say, do your best, work smart.
Yeah.
That's everything I used to say to them. Do your best, work smart. Do your best, work smart. Have a great day. That's all I used to say to them. Because I never wanted to put in their head about the association, about working hard at school relates to a better quality lifestyle. It's like, no. Working hard at school just means you get a better education. If you work hard at school and stick in, you'll maybe get a better job. And then with the job comes the pension. And then you put your head down. No, stick in, get your head down. Don't make too much trouble. Don't hassle. Buy a house when you get to become an adult. Oh, and by the way, you'll need 2 cars, and every single year you'll need to have that wow holiday to show everybody on Instagram.
And then you end up in debt.
Does that sound familiar to most people?
Yeah.
That is what we are taught in our society. And I always say it's to be a good worker ant.
Yeah.
So rack up a lot of debt. You said that yourself, Richard. The misery we're trying to keep up with the Joneses. So one of the secrets is to living a rich life is to completely ignore that bullshit.
And do things differently. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to do this all by yourself, but if you can find people who think like you, even just online, it makes it a lot easier. It's like attracts like, and if you want to be rich, guess who you have to get around? But you don't need to pay money to get around these people. There's lots and lots of free induction courses and stuff like that. You can pick up loads and loads of knowledge. You just have to resist the temptation to sign up to any of their courses. Because it's all about
don't get pulled in by the sales funnel.
it's all about hype to get you hyped up, get your dopamine and your all your endorphins flowing. So you go, yeah, I'm going to be successful. Because everybody else in the room is going, yeah. Why do you think Tony Robbins gets everybody to jump up and down? Woohoo! And then when you come out of Tony Robbins after the weekend, you just want to go back in your work and cuddle everybody. Because that's what you've been doing, isn't it?
Yeah.
And everybody's going, what the fuck? It's like, what's going on? Get away. Too much. You're invading my space. But that's what it does to you. But could you work out when you think to yourself, you could have that feeling every single day if you can anchor that.
Yeah.
If you can anchor that feeling, you can switch that on and switch that off. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to be happy-go-lucky every single day. It's like, yeah, I could switch it on. There's some days I think I can't be bored with anything.
Yeah.
It's like I just want to throw myself off the nearest cliff.
I was just about to say it's only natural we have off days, but maybe not that.
But genuinely, that's the type. So it's not all swimmingly great for everybody, myself included. There's days where you think, I didn't ken why I bother. It's and everybody has these days. But the key here is you then have to realise when you say things like that to yourself, you immediately say to yourself, well, it's not going to be like that tomorrow and the next day anyway. It's just like, it's just for today. That's all.
You need to
so you've got this day today, you get through it and it'll not be like that tomorrow. And my mentors always used to say to me, Jim, just keep saying to yourself, it's not going to be like this in 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be completely irrelevant what I'm going through right now in 5 years' time.
Do you know what you said to me fairly recently, and it stuck with me, and it's this too shall pass.
Yeah, this too shall pass every single time.
Yeah.
It will always pass. It's maybe hard at this point in time, whatever you're going through out there, but it will pass with time, whatever it is. Okay, so the next one for me is probably setting these goals.
Yeah, I was just going to say, setting goals, and you spoke about working smart there, Jim, and when you set goals, there's the thing, and we've all done it. I don't know if everybody watching, but you do it in training courses and things, and it's called SMART. So what is SMART, Jim? And it's a good tactic for setting goals.
Well, this is Stephen Covey. This is the SMART goals. The habits you have. So SMART goals is for living this rich life. The famous framework is setting the word SMART, and it means be specific about what you want. I want a great car. Most people, when you say, when they say, I'd love to win the lottery, then you go, okay, so if you win the lottery, what would you have? I'd have a nice car. Okay, so what type of car would that be? And the first thing that pops in their head is usually a Lamborghini or Ferrari, because everybody else has said that. A Lamborghini. It's like, really? Would you actually have that? What type of Lamborghini would you have? And then they go, well, I've never really thought about it. I mean, when I got sat down for the first time with my mentor, this was actually Altony Craig, you know, the counsellor, actually sat down. Altony sat down in my house in Durward Street in Leven, in my wee 2-bedroom flat when we first started, when he introduced me to all my mentors subsequently. When he sat down with me, he says, what do you want in your life? What's your goals? And I went, oh, I'd love a really good car. And it's like, what's your ultimate car? If you could, and this shows you how limited my mindset was. If money was no object, and you could have any car in the world, what would you have? Oh, that's got to be a Rover Tomcat. Eh? What's a Rover Tomcat? Well, it's a 220, fastest production car on the road at that time, the Rover Tomcat, the 220. He went, okay, you wouldn't want a Lamborghini or a Ferrari or anything. Money's no object, mind. You don't know if you've got any car in the world you can choose from. You can, you know, Bugatti Veyron and something like that. It's like, no, Rover Tomcat's fine. See the limited mindset?
Yeah.
Because I had no belief that I could ever achieve that at that time. And that's why I was stuck in that jar. I wasn't able to get out of that jar. I was hitting my head against the glass ceiling all the time because I never thought I could get any higher than what that glass ceiling had put me in. So that's the sort of thing. That's the mindset. So be specific at what you're doing. Make sure it's measurable in some sort of shape or form. And I mean, you know, how are you going to get it? Or what do you need to do to get it? These sort of things. Also make sure it's attainable.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd love to win the lottery. Okay, so what's the chances of that? 1 in 15 million. Okay, so do you think that's attainable?
No.
Maybe no pay the lottery. I win the lottery every single week. Do you know why I win the lottery? Because I don't play it.
Yeah.
Every single week I win the lottery because I don't play it. I'm an addicted gambler. I'm well aware of that. But I was an addicted gambler. I'm not now. Because everybody says, oh, you should wear that and you should always keep it with you. And it's like, no, you don't. You don't. You know that for the rest of your life. You're no longer that now. It's that. It's like the alcoholic. Oh, I'm an alcoholic. And they all keep standing up after 30 years. No. You are not an alcoholic any longer.
No.
You just don't drink alcohol now. That means you'll never, ever go back to it because you have painted yourself as you're not an alcoholic. You don't drink. I don't drink. That's it. So that's the sort of mindset. Yeah. So you've got to realize it's got to be attainable. It's got to be something that you think it's got to be something you can actually think, yeah, that's attainable. That could definitely be attainable. One day I could probably buy a Ferrari. It's going to be costing me £200,000. How am I going to get that? How's that going to work? Now, I never ever thought the day that I would ever buy any cars like that. I just had cars in my mind that things like an MGB, you know, one of the new ones when they first came out, the Rover Tomcat, stuff like that. That's where my mindset was at that time. But as you grow up and these become attainable to you now, you then see bigger. You see a bigger. It's that climbing that mountain. Once you get over that first summit, you're like, oh, wait a minute, there's another one. And then you get over that one, it's like, oh, wait a minute, there's another one to climb. But by the way, it never ends. There's always another one to climb. And that's okay. But just realize that. They've got to be relevant to what you're doing. There's no point in saying you want a Ferrari if you don't want one. It's like, it's no relevance at all. There's no point in saying you want a castle. I mean, I did want a castle at one point, and I did actually go to see some castles with a view. And there's often I drive past them and think, thank God I never bought that. Yeah. Honestly, at that time, yeah, definitely. So there was, at that time, it was like the castles, and I thought, thank God I never bought these castles, because my budget would have been broken. I would never have any more money to invest. I would have my lovely castle, and it probably cost a fortune, and more than likely, I would have regretted it at some point in time. Yeah. But I do drive past these big, massive places now and think, oh, thank God I never bought that. Knowing what I know now. Yeah. So it has to be relevant to what you're wanting. If you don't want a castle, for God's sake, don't say a castle, because you'll never ever do anything because you don't really want it deep down. You have to put some sort of time limit on it. When are you going to get it by? Hung by your tongue. Yeah. Now, it doesn't mean to say you've got to beat yourself up if you don't get it, but you could just refocus. This is a classic example. I do walking along the beach, the video, and the walk along the beach, and you've got the footprints in the sand where the beach is. And then all of a sudden the sea comes in and washes the footprints away. And that's what kind of happens to your goals. Now and again, the sea comes in and it washes your goals away. But where you're going is the stone, you know, in front of you. way ahead of you. That's where you're heading. So that goal's always the same, but the plans that you're doing gets washed away in the process.
Mhm.
But you're still heading there. So you just make new plans to get that goal. So make it relevant to what you want, but also time bound it. So what time? When are you going to get it by? It's difficult for me to say that because I'm very, very intense when I do focus for something and I say I'm going to get it by that time. I make damn sure I'm going to get it by that time. So for me personally, I don't tend to time bound myself because I know I'm quite disciplined to get it anyway. I don't say I'm going to get it by that time because the difficulty is I've got no off switch. So because I've got no off switch, I will push myself to the point of breaking and sometimes break myself at the same time in order to get what I want. Because I don't have that off switch. I don't know when to step back. I don't know when to take that step. But you've seen me. Sometimes when I'm broken people, I'm lying on the floor. So, I mean, this is great. One of the things that helped me with goal setting, though, is to focus more on the actions I need to do than the outcomes.
Yeah, the things you need to do on your journey to get into your goal.
Yeah, what I need to do to get there. How do I get there, and what I need to do. And I made the dream bigger, and we'll talk about that in the last sections. So, so the next thing for me, probably number 9, before we're finishing off on number 10, is spend on experiences.
Yeah, so you spoke about, obviously, we've spoke about the Lamborghini and the Ferrari and all the rest of it, but it is still important to still spend on experiences and things.
Oh, well, houses, cars, toys, all these things dip with time. As I've said before, it's the classic. It's like you buy that house you always wanted, and then you realise it ends up becoming a more or less a grave because you know you've
Like
got
the
to get out.
brand new car thing, you drive out the
Yeah,
showroom, you've lost money already.
yeah, but it's not that you've lost money. Is you're locked into finance payments
Mhm.
because most people will finance it. So you're locked into finance payments. Then you buy your house, the big huge house. You're locked into finance payments. If anything changes, it ends up becoming the end of you, the beginning of the end for you. So these are sort of things that you've got to really consider about whether you actually want to do this or not, whether this is a journey you want to take and want to continue, or whether that's experiences. Now, the great thing about experiences, here's a classic. You can, as I said before, you can buy that BMW, that 5 Series that you always wanted, that goes like a rocket. You can pay 90 or 100,000 for it. Or you can just hire it for a couple of weeks and get it out of your system for 5 grand. Now, driving at the showroom, you've lost 20%.
Mm-hmm.
You've lost 20 grand. Or you just spend 5 grand and you have that shiny new BMW and you go out in it for the 2 weeks, you get out of your system, you hand it back to them, you say, I've got no other responsibilities or liabilities for that car anymore. Happy days. I'm a free man. I can do what I want. I don't like my boss. Just quitting my job because I've got no ties anymore because I've not got any commitments to keep paying money every single month. It's the things that you start committing to you by yourself, you drill yourself into. One thing employers want the most for you to do is actually to get married, to have kids, to buy a big house, to buy a big car, to live that
That you're
rich and
dependent on your salary to
yes,
fund
you're
that.
financing all the time because they're probably the ones that pay you the most salary and you can't move anywhere else as a result. Now they've got you by the short and curlies, literally, unless you do some beauticians there and you didn't have short and curlies anymore.
We know what you mean.
But they've got you straight away because of that. So you're stuck in a rut, and a rut is just a grave with the end kicked out. That's it. The end's kicked out. That's all a rut is. You're in a routine. A routine is rut. A routine.
Yeah.
I used to say jokingly, it was like routine. It's the French for rut. It's not really. But it's just literally a grave with the ends kicked out. That's it. You're stuck for the rest of your life. With all that debt piled onto you, all that stress piled onto you as well. Do you really want that? So it's like that. It's like that. It's like that. You get into that sort of mindset because everybody else around about you is doing it. They're all buying houses. Notice when somebody puts a house up for sale on the street, everybody else starts considering putting your house up for sale as well.
Yeah.
We're creatures of habits. We follow the tribe with the tribe mentality. So experience is probably the most important things, I would say, if you're going to do anything. I'm so glad the experiences have actually shown that people spend their money on things like vacations have more positive beliefs and more
Yeah, I
positive.
think spending time, if it's with your family or whatever, spending money on times like that is probably more important than buying a fancy car or buying
Now
some
I know
fancy
that.
toy. Or
Now I know that, Richard. But most of the time, instead of doing that, I just invested my money.
yeah,
I literally invested, and I talk about crazy numbers, like 80% of my income.
hmm
I invested every single time. It was like I was just going to live on the bare basics, and Elaine was prepared to do that as well. And we were happy doing that because we had each other, and we just continued to do that because she had faith in me. She never had faith in the long-term vision. She never knew any idea, but she had
yeah,
complete faith in me that I was going to do this, and
hmm
I was going to be successful in whatever I wanted to do. You know, that was, she had her doubts on the way. Now and again, it's like, oh, we should be doing this. Like, no, I know exactly what I'm doing. And this is
yeah,
the reason why. And that's probably because of the lack of communication, that we had a lot of turmoil in our relationship through that period of time.
hmm
You know, that's the
Communication
reality.
is a key thing. Yeah,
But again, these are things that I learn now, so it's easy for me to communicate with Elaine. It's like, do you realise where we are right now and what we've got and how we can love and how we can live the rest of our lives? I mean, I'm looking at a cruise last night and thinking, wow, an expedition cruise to the a cruise actually to the Antarctic or the Arctic. They actually go out in a scientific boat, and you're on a cruise with them, and then they take the boat out, and you're on the boat with them, and you're in the Arctic, looking at the whales and the
yeah.
seals and the penguins, but you're actually there in the Arctic with the scientific expedition, and you're on a luxury cruise.
Is this the one when they stop and let you off onto the ice and I've
Viking.com.
looked at them. Yeah,
I
that's
was thinking,
crazy.
holy shit. Wouldn't that be great just to go
No.
and just go to the now? I wanted to walk to the Antarctic. That's one of the 7 summits plus the Arctic and the Antarctic.
hmm
Whether that's going to happen or not in my lifetime, I'm not particularly sure. But at some point, I think that would be a great opportunity. And I
Yeah,
think, wow,
that's an experience.
yeah, definitely, that's an experience in itself.
Yeah,
Understanding that is the ultimate. How many people could ever have that in their life? That is a very few people that have that. That's like the people that climb Everest. You know, everybody goes on about how many people, oh, everybody climbs Everest. No. There's less than 5,000 people climbed Everest in the whole of their lifetime. How many people are in the world? It's just that you see pictures on the, you know, of the window where it's from April, May, June, July, April to July. It's 90 days to climb. 90 days, you see that everybody doing it all at the same time because that's the only time they can climb
hmm
to the top of Everest. That's the
yeah.
only time you can do
Because
it,
of the
really.
weather things. Yeah.
So they all go at the same time. They've only got 2 days on the window of opportunity. On the last 2 days is when they can actually go to the summit, and that's why they're all in a line, and that's what you see. But less than a handful of people in the world have actually climbed Everest and ever will. And yet everybody goes, oh, I don't want to go Everest. Everybody goes to Everest. No, they didn't. The
No.
one very elite in the world to actually be able to do that. Virgin Galactic. How many people go into space? You know, who can claim to do that? These are the sort of experiences that ultimately a super wealthy life will actually afford you to get access to. Afford you to get access to. Doesn't mean to say you've got to do it.
No.
But just the very thought that you can actually do it is actually good enough for me. So if you want a rich life, make sure you have some sort of budget. It's going towards things that will make life memorable for you. This is the 10% and the 10% I
Yeah.
was talking about. Spend it every month. You know, once you've worked out your budget, spend that budget every month. Enjoy yourself. Have a great time with it. The final one for me is design your life. Design the life you really want.
hmm
In a world that tells people to follow your passion, it's surprising to realize that people doing so weren't always the happiest ones. In fact, some of the happiest people were the ones doing work they didn't actually love, but earning great money and building an awesome life on their time off. Remember, I talk about this all the time. We have people that we've mentored slightly over the years
hmm
and they've gone off the track. And I'm like, you're nuts. Your job is paying you an absolute fortune right now. You're only going to be at this for at least 3 or 4 years. I can see this light at the end of the tunnel, where you can walk away from this entirely financially free if you grind this out for the next 3 or 4 years, and then they give up, and then they change jobs, and they don't get the lucrative income they've got, and now they're still working for the rest of their life. They're in a job. Oh, but I'm self-employed. No, you're not. You've got a job. That's it.
Yeah.
Face facts. You've got a job. All you've done is traded the shitty job that you had, which was actually paying really well and guaranteed you income all the time and guaranteed you benefits all the time as well, for a shitty job you've got to work in for the rest of your life as self-employed with no guarantee anymore. That's what a lot of people don't realise that they do. They design a life thinking that their self-employment is going to set them, oh, I'm going to be able to work anytime I wanted. Get newsflash, you're not getting paid. Because your ability to perform is how you make money. And if you're away on holiday, you ain't making money.
Yeah.
If you're a joiner or a carpenter, or a dentist, and you're self-employed, you still have to keep doing dentistry. You still have to keep doing your accounts. If you're an accountant, you still have to be being a lawyer. You still have to keep advising people. If you're a one-man operation, self-employed, in your so-called business, you've not got a business, you've got a job. That's why you've got to design your life. You've got to make sure you do it correctly. Stick to that crappy job. If it pays well, stick to it, because if you've got a plan to retire in the next 3 or 4 years, what are you bothered about? Folk working jobs for 40 years that they don't like just because that's all they've got. And you're greeting about 4 years having a go at this. That's what I did. I loved what I did in manufacturing, but towards the end, it got really difficult for me. And because I knew my rich life was waiting on me, but I just didn't have the balls, basically, to
jump. To take that jump. Yeah.
Even though it said quite clearly on paper, it's like, oh my God, Jim, you've got all this money coming in. What are you doing? Continue to work where you are, earning a lot less and taking up most of your time. That's the sort of thing that really got it for me and really set it home for me. So whatever you decide to do, design your life. Don't just fall into it. Don't just let people make decisions for you. If you feel you want to earn more money, try more in that direction. If you want to build financial freedom in order to follow a passion project, work hard on learning that you need to do. There's no one answer or right answer for anybody out of this. But if you have the agency to feel like your life is yours, or the urgency, I would say.
It's the urgency, yeah.
Yeah. And making that decision, you'll be a million times happier.
Yeah.
It's like the people that come into, Pop Idol and Britain's Got Talent, and they're singers, and they've been around for years, and they're going, you've not got what it takes. But I'm not going to give up the dream. I'm not going to give up the dream. I admire these people more than anything, because they're not going to give up on their dream. The only time you'll ever fail is when you give up.
Mm-hmm.
And I always have a great belief that every dog has their day. Every single time. Every dog has their day. It always goes around again. Always comes around. Even though you're down in your luck right now, if you keep persevering in what you're doing, at some point in time, whatever will happen, will come back into favour again. It will, definitely. So every dog has their day. You just keep going at doing what you're doing. Cammie's a classic example.
Yeah.
Mark said it right there. Look at Cameron. It's a fantastic singer on Britain's Got Talent. And he comes on, he doesn't quite make it, but he's now on the road doing a tour.
He's on tour now. Yeah.
And he's living the dream. He's got his barber shops, fair enough, but they can look after themselves because there's people that are there and it's easy to handle. But he's doing what he's doing. He's following his passion. I always believed when I saw him in the tattoo, I thought, holy shit, what are you doing being a barber if you're not following your dream? I was like, I could not believe that. And I was often, when I was driving past his shop, I was often at times to walk in and just punch him in the face and go, what are you doing? It's like clearly your passion obviously lies in what you're doing right now in terms of singing. And that is where you excel and light up. And now he's following his dream, and I wish him all the best. I mean, I'm really looking forward to seeing his journey. I hope at some point in time he'll come on the Wealth Creation Show and maybe talk about his journey and what he's doing. And maybe I might actually get him off. So next time you go off, Richard, I'll probably get Cammy on and we'll talk about his journey. There's a point. There's a classic. So it's designing your life. There's not right one answer for everything. It's what you want to do, what makes you feel better. It's following your passion and learning to monetize your passion as well. Don't settle for less and chase it every single time. I mean, these are actually our 10 secrets to living that rich life. And I hope they'll help you in your journey. And at the end of the day, you get to choose the things that you want to focus on. In my personal experience, living a rich life is an ongoing thing.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, as an ongoing thing. I think for anybody, whether you're at your stage, Jim, or whether you're at my stage, or Mark, or Gary, like whatever stage anybody's at, it is an ongoing thing.
Absolutely.
But these are the 10 secrets that you've covered today, Jim, are really good. And
absolutely, there's loads and loads of other information, and we might talk about the other, and the facts, the numbers, and all the rest of it on other shows as well. But these are the things that people need to focus on the most and get the best out of everything. And that's me for today. Thanks, thanks, Richard, for doing that.
No,
bit, but I think it's essential we need to say this to people. It's essential that I document this as well, because again, as I said before, this isn't for me. This is for the generations of my families to come and my children to now. They're probably not at a point of readiness for them in terms of their journey. But when you get to about 30, when you get to about 40, that's when your midlife crisis starts to kick in. And that is the thing about, this. I mean, most people usually say to themselves, this can't be it, surely.
Yeah.
This just can't be it. It can't be just this for the rest of my life. There has to be something bigger out there, something greater out there. Guess what? Newsflash. It's always been there.
Yeah,
You're only noticing it right now. You're only beginning to notice it now. And if you can notice it quicker, if you're younger, then good luck to you, because this now is the time to start your journey and start to do the things that you need to do to build your wealth for the future. Stay in your job. Ben, stay in the RNA. Scott, stay in whatever you're doing production-wise. You've got the property business to build in wealth as you go outside of that. And you can do anything you want to do anywhere you want to do it. Somebody says to them, turns around one day and says, maybe like, look, Scott, we're not going to be able to take you over to Australia on the tour for Hamilton or Aladdin or something like that. And Scott goes, don't worry about it. I'll be able to pay for it. Sorry? Mm-hmm. It's like, no, I'm all right. I'll come across and help you. I can afford it anyway. It's like, that's the sort of things you can do when you want to do it. It's like, no, I'm just doing this for the passion. I love doing what I'm doing. I'm not doing this for the money. It's like the money's a byproduct. Great stuff.
Yeah.
But I love what I'm doing. And that's what a rich lifestyle affords you to do.
Yeah. Good. Well, we will be back next Monday, same time. I've took note of these questions to succeed in life, Jim. We'll touch on that next week as well. And thanks to everybody for keeping interactive and joining in the comments. And until next week, we will see you at 12:30 Monday.
Bye-bye then. Bye-bye, everybody.